Hello everyone, welcome in. Okay, today I'll be sharing with you guys this strategy, what we call mind mapping. This is actually a problem-solving strategy and also a technique that's proven to work to help to bring about better memory and to actually organize some of our thought processes. So I'm actually just going to be sharing with you this technique. Hopefully you will find that useful. But I'll be sharing with you how I use this technique possibly to maybe help us recall some of these key phrases or key words that you have come across during your two papers for your real estate salesperson examination. So for this first part of the video, I will be doing it in the perspective of paper one content. Okay, so without further ado, let's share with you this strategy that I have here. So mind mapping. Okay, so it goes something like this, generally it's going to start out with really something easy. So for example, if I say that some of these things that we have learned, so maybe paper one, how do we then consolidate our dot thoughts here? The idea about mind mapping is to actually group and categorize different things together in a coherent manner whereby it's going to make it easier for all of us to remember. Example, in paper one, we have learned about land law, right? So land law, there are a couple of things that is going to branch out from this point forward. This is a strategy that I strongly suggest you guys either map it out yourself. You can draw it on a piece of paper, no need to be very, very professional about it, but it's just a strategy to help us remember. So it goes like this. It can be law of contract. So what were the things that basically would be part of this topic? This is what mind mapping is all about, really. Okay, so I've really created something that I have already condensed some of these keywords, which I think it's going to be important for examination, especially so when it comes to fill in the blanks. So like some of you would have heard me speak about that during some of our lessons earlier, that sometimes I think the difficulties of students when it comes to filling the blank is that our minds can be blank, right? So it's kind of maybe difficult for us to map some of these keywords to some of these key contents or topics that appears in the examination. So firstly, these were the few things that I can categorize them into, and the things that were covered in paper one by and large. So the first one, the largest topic is going to be on land law. Okay, so this is how I do my mind mapping. So like I mentioned, I strongly suggest you guys draw it out yourself because we do have motor memories, right? So as you start to map it out and draw it out yourself as well, the memory retention is there. So let's start off talking about land law. Land law can be broken up further into statutory law as well as common law. So statutory law are some things that are basically applicable in Singapore. Two content here, okay? URA is the first one, and URA basically does conservation as well as the whole big chunk of things under Planning Act. And it was in the under Planning Act that we found land use as well as plot ratio, which is going to be applicable for all of this land that you see in Singapore. The second thing, of course, SLA, Singapore Land Authority, which is in charge of a couple of few things that we've mapped it out here, okay? So this is going to be expanded because, of course, I have limitation in terms of my screen, but this is later on going to be expanded. So a little bit of a techniques for you guys when you are doing your own mind map. You can feel free to basically map it out as far as you can go, because all these things will be how we will find relationship internally as to these different contents to that topic. So you can actually expand it out as much as you can. But I will be doing my expansion using the different slides here. Now, of course, land law, we can also talk about common law, right? Couple of things that we've spoke about. These are the few things that I think is going to share some commonalities here. So we're going to start off with talking about URA first. Okay, so that's something that we're going to start off with here. Okay, now URA Planning Act in particular reference. We were talking about a couple of things that they were and tasked to do as tools. We definitely have got long-term plan, 10 years, master plan 5 years, and here comes written statement, which is to be interpreted together with the master plan. And of course, from here, I can actually map it out. My master plan is actually planned by dividing this map of Singapore into 5 regions, as well as 55 planning areas. Okay, now with this, inside my map, you would probably find land use as well. So land use was a very large topic, which was further broke down into these 3 main key components, with majority of the keywords or maybe key figures that was going to come from here. Now, residential, we have got our landed, which is under housing, landed housing area plan. And with that, to read it together, we need to comply with envelope control guidelines. And in case we forgot what is envelope control guidelines, this actually defines the land itself. The land that the property is standing on will determine what kind of houses you can build, what kind of landed properties you can build on it. On top of that, we saw a height limitation. So as a whole, even if this land is designated 2-story, that means 12 meters, 3-story, 15.5. Some key things to remember here. Then, of course, from here, residential can also be broken down into non-landed, which is strata title development, condominium, or flat. Okay, so these are the key figures as well. Now let's go on to commercial then. Commercial has got something got to do with change of use. If allowed, then maximum 3 years. Commercial, I wanted to particularly point out to this one because they might ask us the percentages. Commercial with residential, layman understanding, we always refer to these as integrated development, right? So integrated meaning 40% of the total gross floor area must be for, maximally can be used for commercial. 60% minimally must be for residential. Okay, so we commonly, for easy to remember sake, we always use this word 40-60% ratio. Now here comes unclassified use also, which is got to do with change of use. Okay, so sometimes you might have some users that are not in any of these planning use classes. So therefore, we say that these are unclassified users. Anywhere we go, we need to ask URAs for instructions. Now here comes industrial. Use quantum. Any businesses or users that intends to rent or operate in an industrial premises must subject ourselves to use quantum, must fulfill use quantum. In a nutshell, 60% of the space must be used for predominant industrial uses and 40% in ancillary uses. Okay, so this is my map. Okay, so this is my mind map for the part on land uses. Now to continue on, earlier we saw URA also does conservation, right? So conservation is quite simple. It's broken down into historic district, and these are usually referred to as the commercial historic district. Here are some of these incompatible uses which we need to be mindful of, such as you will not be able to rent a shop house in Chinatown to run your pub's business, or maybe a Western fast food restaurant, because Chinatown is what we call a historic core district. Then here comes our residential historic district, which are places such as Emerald Hill, etc. These 2 are the main points that I think would be important for the part on conservation. Okay, now with this, we go back to this main table. Earlier, we touched on URA, right? That was my mind map for URA. SLA can be also broken down into these 4 categories of things that we're going to discuss now. So SLA deals with this couple of things. Let's start off with reading titles. So it is based on this thing called the lot-based system, where in this system you would have things such as your survey districts as well as your lot number registration. 30 TS, 34 Mukim, these are called survey districts. Then the type of lots, so lot number, right? We could have land lot, we could have strata lot, accessory lot, airspace, subterranean. Can you see the alphabet beside? This one is to ensure that we have some sort of a memory there whenever we're dealing with this sort of lot number. So strata lot begins with the prefix U, accessory lot with the prefix A. Okay, now here comes maps. We only have got 3 kinds of maps. This is the 3 that we're talking about. And when it comes to registration of titles, it is under this system that we adapted, which we call the torrent system, whereby we've set up our own land titles registry. That's why it's making our title registration mandatory today. So that makes our indivisible title, which is backed up by 3 key principles: mirror principle, curtained, as well as insurance principles. And under our land titles registry, it is also possible for some people with equitable interest to lodge a caveat. So it's a precautionary lodgement of claim of interest with SLA in the meantime, lasts for 5 years. Now, lastly, restrictions. We already understand not every single entity or persons will be able to hold land. So, example, restrictions will come under this thing called Mental Capacity Act, because we need to be mindful of a person, whether or not this person has got mental capacity. Under Mental Capacity Act, some keywords: lasting power of attorney, okay, 3 months cooling period before it can be properly registered. Then here comes Residential Property Act, which restricts restricted property to be bought by foreign persons in Singapore. Residential Property Act, we have a keyword here: Land Dealings Approval Unit. Okay, so this is my mind map. Of course, like I mentioned, you can expand it more. You can actually write in your own words as well. These are some of these keywords that I've picked up as well. Now, moving on, let's go on to common law then, starting off with corporeal hereditament. Okay, now corporeal hereditament talks about a couple of things: tangible items, right? Subterranean space ownership up to 30 meters. Not only that, when we talk about sales and purchase, fixtures, chattels, right? Now, fixtures, in order to determine then, we have two tests of annexation: degree of annexation and purpose of annexation. When it comes to rental, trade fixtures, ornamental fixtures, okay, these things generally belong to the tenant unless otherwise stated. But these are some of these keywords in corporeal hereditaments, for corporeal hereditaments. Here comes the incorporeal ones, okay? Now, incorporeal hereditaments talks about interest and rights. Okay, now interest can be split up into 3 broad categories: equitable, legal, and future. Equitable interest, we have a keyword here: bona fide purchaser. Legal interest might come in the form of encumbrances, like mortgage, okay, which you see a keyword here: rights of redemption. Future interest has got reversionary interest, remainder, as well as succession, okay? So the keywords fall below like this. All right, now coming to rights, might be personal or legal rights, isn't it? Now, legal rights, also known as proprietary or rights in rem. Here are the keywords for relating to rights. So whenever you see a question in examination, such as asking you to fill in the blank, you might be thinking of the missing word, right? So many different forms of possibilities. Maybe by drawing reference to that topic, we'll be able to narrow down some of these possible keywords. Okay, now moving on to tenure. Okay, now tenure here has got to do with freehold, leasehold. Freehold, estate in fee simple, okay, or estate in perpetuity. All right, so these are the few keywords here. Then obtaining interest. How can we then come about gaining interest to land and property? Now here comes gifting, inter vivos. IRDA stands for Insolvency, Restructuring, Dissolution Act. Remember the 3 years lockout period, okay? Now, my gift can be testamentary as well, which is by means of a will. Trust, inter vivos, this is where ABSD is payable. And inter vivos trust can be revocable or irrevocable. Irrevocable, there is this risky period of 3 years as well, right? According to IRDA. But also something to, as a pointer to help us remember a little bit more, ABSD might be refundable, right? For irrevocable trust. Testamentary trust, collective trust, implied trust, okay? And implied trust can be further split into either resulting or constructive. All right, so these are the few keywords that I've picked up for trust. Now, co-ownership. You can possibly co-own the unit with some people, right? Tenancy in common, as well as joint tenancy. Key concepts: tenancy in common only have one unity, possession. Joint tenancy, rights of survivorship, keyword. Unity, 4 of them. All right, so please make sure we remember all 4 or possible highly testable keywords as well. Lastly, encumbrances, which is talking about legal liability. So encumbrances can be broken up into license, which is a personal right. These are the 4 of them. Easement is a legal right. Dominant tenement, servient tenement. Okay, and covenant. Covenant is also a form of legal rights. Now, these are some of these keywords that can be possibly associated with burden, legal liability, etc. Okay, so this one, by and large, sums up this part on land law. Now, moving on, the next section here is going to be on contract law. Okay, now contract law can be broken down into a couple of things. To start off with, invitation to treat, not an offer. Okay, legal intention, offer, which is to be communicated and conveyed. Consideration must be sufficient, need not be adequate, and past consideration is no good consideration. Lastly, acceptance, which should be unconditional, communicated. Any of these phrases, words, potentially could be keyword. Okay, now vitiating factors, these were the few that we've learned in class, as well as lastly, how it comes to an end. Can be force majeure, all right, learn how to spell words like this. Breaches, okay, breach can be a breach of conditions of warranty, out of which conditions is probably the more severe ones, okay, which can result in termination. All right, whenever there is breach, then here comes remedy. These were the 3 remedies that we spoke about. Now, the third one, tenancy law, okay? Now, leasing. Firstly, it could be tenants' legal rights, exclusive possession, quiet enjoyment. These are associated with the description of tenants' legal rights. Or it could be landlord's legal rights, subjected to tenancy agreement. Generally, let's not forget, landlord has got reversionary interest. Here comes the different types of lease. All right, so you got to know them by definition in order to pick up the right answer. Then here comes other things, assignment, sublet, novation. Diplomatic clause, probably a very catchy one as well. Notice to quit, which is a termination clause. Forfeiture, which means when there is a breach, you're going to, landlord is going to terminate and take back the lease. Then whenever it comes to forfeiture, the keyword linked to this is breach of possession. Here comes Distress Act, limitation 12 months. The keyword linked to this is breach of distress. All right, then privity of contract, privity of estate linked to lease as well as lastly, doctrine of waste. Now, the doctrine of waste, we've saw 4 of this possibilities, right? All these are possible keywords linked to waste. Okay, then let's go on to agency law. All right, now agency can be created by consent, all right, which you might receive actual express authority or actual implied authority. Can be by estoppel, ostensible or apparent authority is the type or the name of the authority that comes with a court order, okay? Then ratification as well as necessity. Now, of course, understanding wise, we will have assumed you already understand that. The point of this session here is to share with you mind mapping, right? So that you can do it on your own as a technique to help with memory. Now, the last one, if the person is acting without authority, breach of warrant of authority. Okay, now as agent, one of the most important things is fiduciary duty. Some keywords we picked up, material facts. To make sure that we disclose material fact frankly, right, and without hiding any of such things when being asked. And due diligence, duty to be careful. Okay, so we only deal with things that you know what you're doing, and we have to check and be careful whenever we are dealing with any of this agency work. Then here comes this small topic on tort of negligence, keyword as well, that comes with agency. So as agent, we have to behave in a careful manner. Otherwise, this can be a suable offense, right? It can be an equitable remedy in court. So duty of care, breach, which we talked about, neighbors principle, causation, but for test, as well as damages. Okay, so these things are linked to the topic on tort of negligence. So whenever you see, let's say, a question, the content was asking about negligence, this is where we can try to see whether or not we can pick up some of these related key phrases or words that might be the keyword that they're looking for. Okay. Now, lastly, real estate market. Okay. Now, real estate market is a very broad topic, but some of these keywords we identify here, these are the characteristics of real estate itself. And as the marketplace generally hedge against inflation, imperfect market, you don't get real-time data, right? As well as subjected to government intervention. Demand and supply moves our real estate market. So these were the 4 stages that are related to demand and supply. And lastly, REITs fall under one of those things that we can invest in, which is part of the real estate market as a whole. Learn how to spell this very commonly tested keywords. So all of these few things that we picked up are some things that has came out in exam before. So understanding is the first point. This mind map strategy is to help us in revision so that it helps us organize our thoughts and to make sure that we at least have some sort of a method to help with memory retention and the recollection of some of these key facts, figures, and maybe words and key phrases. Okay, so with that, all right, so that's all I have for you. Okay, so hopefully you found that useful. All right, so I'm preparing paper 2 as well. So when that is up, I will be posting up as well. All right, thank you.